Alright, to start off we have the Type 38, which most people shit on it because it's like really low caliber at only 6.5, but that's actually a good thing for what I'm discussing. Basically, the Type 38 has very little to no muzzle report because of its low caliber, and it's a long barrel. It's 31 inches long. So what that means is, say you're in a nighttime fight, it's going to be much harder to detect you because there's almost no muzzle flash, and the rifle, it's not like a movie silencer or anything, but it's significantly quieter than other rifles of its class. It also has a reputation for having a very reliable action, especially in jungle conditions where you have to worry about dust and mud and whatnot getting in your gun, or at least on your gun in this case, as it's got a dust cover that's pretty nice. Next up we have the Browning High Power, and the reason I put that on here is because people don't really talk about it, but it's basically the first Wonder 9 pistol. Its contemporaries had a capacity of like 8 rounds, so it's a huge improvement at 13 rounds. Unlike any other World War II era service pistol I know of, it's really the only one that can stand up to modern service pistols. You know, the M19 is a classic and all, but it's really been displaced by more modern handguns, and the Browning High Power has as well, but just not to the same extent. Next up we have the PPS-43, and what I really like about this is that you pretty much get the best in class for pretty much every characteristic you would want in a World War II era SMG, but then it loses out because it's less popular than the PPSH. Compared to the MP40, it's lighter. Compared to the PPSH, it's got a folding stock and is more reliable due to using double-stack, double-feed magazines, which is something that only like really expensive SMG designs other than the PPS used, like the Tommy gun or the Suomi. Very cheap to produce as well, not much more than a Sten gun, while offering all these performance advantages compared to other submachine guns of the era. Now we have the bazooka, which gets shit on a lot because it didn't really have the best anti-armor performance compared to a Panzerschreck or a Panzerfaust. But something that never really gets mentioned is that out of like 1,000 rockets fired, only 1 or 2 of them would be against Nazi armor or Japanese armor or Italian armor. The guys using the bazooka were on the offensive, not getting overrun by enemy tanks. They had much better anti-tank weapons available to them than the German infantry, who oftentimes had to rely on the Panzerfaust in a desperate attempt to stop enemy armor. More often than not, they'd be blasting away at like a pillbox or infantry in a fortified building or something like that to force them out of there. It was used more as an assault weapon than as a anti-tank weapon. This gave the freedoms an advantage because they were able to assault positions with rockets instead of having to use like direct fire artillery and whatnot. Finally we have the PTRD. Now, anti-tank rifles are usually derided because of their poor performance, but the PTRD is really an exception. The Soviets issued a lot of these guys out, and they were effective enough against most armored vehicles they encountered. Only a few heavy tanks were really resistant to their fire if they got them on a side shot. In the modern era, the 14mm round it fires is actually sort of a standard for armored protection for like APCs and stuff. It's like, oh, we got this thing and it's 14mm resistant now. Anyway, I hoped you learned something today, and also Aqua is the best member of the party.